the beginning that you have made.
A lot of the world's problems seem huge. Global warming, genocide in Sudan. How can people combat that without giving up everything in their lives? But people come to challah for hunger because their friends do it. It's fun to make challah. It's fun to do it with your friends. It's delicious. It smells good. And then they see, like, I can make a difference through 1 hour a week.
They started baking challah bread, and they sold it every week on the Scripps campus. And if you engage in an act of advocacy, they would give you a discount on the bread. So if you call and hassle your congressman or hassle your senator about Darfur, they cut you some slack. And they started spending thousands of dollars every month to NGOs on the ground in Darfur, saving children's lives, Jewish girls breaking Jewish bread, saving Muslim kids' lives in Africa that have been overlooked by other people.
We have chapters based mostly on college campuses in the US, and volunteers come together and bake challah, anywhere from 30 to 350 loaves on a weekly basis, and sell it, and then they donate their profits. Our sales table is not just a bake sale. It's a learning opportunity. So at the sales table, yes, we have challah, but we also have articles about the issues that the chapter supports, and maybe t-shirts and bracelets and letter writing materials. And each chapter donates half of its profits to the American Jewish World Service for their work with the Darfur issue. And then each chapter chooses locally where to send their other profits. So some of them are donating to local food banks, and that's a really nice way to do the local and the global. 3/4 of a cup of sugar, half a cup of oil, half a tablespoon of salt, 2.5 cups of water, and I use warm water first to dissolve these ingredients, 6 to 8 cups of flour, and 1 tablespoon of yeast. A lot of professional bakers would scoff at this recipe, but we've simplified it so that many people can do this, and we can teach it over the telephone and over Skype, so that we can really empower people who haven't baked before to take this recipe and use it. So we make our popular flavors are chocolate chip and cinnamon sugar. It's like a cinnamon bun with challah, and it's delicious, out of control. The recipe itself of challah that most people know, a sweet egg bread, is an Eastern European bread recipe. What distinguishes it from non-Jewish bread is that we generally don't put dairy in it. And that one of the cool things that I think the organization does is empower people in the kitchen. Obviously, making your own food is a huge thing to do as you become an adult, and I've had volunteers say to me that the only thing they've ever cooked before is a microwave breakfast. There is a therapeutic aspect to it, of kneading the dough. You just really get into it with your hands, and for students on a college campus who may be stressed out about exams or their social life, whatever, this can be a good escape for them. Challah and bread is supposed to represent a relationship between the Creator and humans, that wheat will grow on its own, but it doesn't become bread on its own. But we can't create bread out of nothing. So each party needs the other to make challah. There's something to it for everybody, I think. I have made challah with some people who really put a lot of intention into it and recite a whole spiel for every ingredient that they add, and every ingredient has significant meaning. One woman I made challah with put sugar and honey for 2 different kinds of sweetness in her family's lives. This person didn't use any words while she was making the challah except words about the challah. She didn't speak except to talk about what she was doing. And she also, on her counter, didn't have anything. Nothing could touch the counter except supplies for making the challah. A very important thing in building a successful grassroots organization, or any organization, I think, is to build a strong team that's going to lead your project. And that can be difficult. Sometimes it's easier just to be like, look, I'm making all the decisions. And the truth is, I went through that phase with our own first chapter of Challah for Hunger. And looking back on it, I know that Challah for Hunger would be much further than it is now if at that point I had organized a team. We are setting up a system of chapter advisors. So right now I get phone calls at all times about, we're kneading the dough and we forgot to add the salt already, or we're having trouble with this volunteer, she's supposed to be publicity manager and she's not focusing on that, what do we do? I get those phone calls all the time. So what would be better for the organization and better for individual volunteers is if we have, say you're an alum from one of our chapters and you're in your post-chapter life, but you still want to be involved. So we'll set you up with 3 chapters in your area and you'll touch base with them once a week. They'll call you instead of me when they have those emergencies. You get that experience of mentoring these younger people, and it's good for everybody. I think that the level that we operate on definitely contributes to the success. At the Claremont colleges, they raise probably between $1,200 and $1,800 a week, and that's a lot for a college student who volunteers for an hour to feel like, my friends and I did this, I just did an hour, but it added up to this, and we get to support amazing causes with it. We've built bridges across communities, having people who are not into religion and people who are, people who are there to bake and people who are there for the social justice, SEDEC aspect. So it's been really, really neat to watch that.